So the 416 is one of the Recce variants that DEVGRU used during the Global War on Terror. This video isn't really about the history. There's a lot of really good videos on YouTube that can explain it a lot better than me. This video is meant to be a breakdown of the rifle and some of the parts that were used, and then we're gonna go shoot it like we always do. But let's start from the front. So the original name for this suppressor was the M4, but we're calling it the M4 Recce because Phil Seeberger named a lot of different suppressors M4, and it's getting pretty confusing. The M4 Recce is the suppressor used on the DEVGRU Recce rifles. This suppressor is going to be the same that is used on the M4 Recce, but it will use a slightly different collar. The collar used on this is very similar to the collar used on the M4 Recce, but the diameter of the barrel is a little bit thicker, so the collar needs to be a little bit different. The older 416 Recce rifles use a 14.5-inch barrel. The profile is a SOCOM profile. So if you look at this, it's going to look very similar to like an M4 SOCOM profile barrel. So the 416 collar is going to be slightly different than the M4 collar because the barrels have different ODs. We will be making these available after the release of the M4 Recce kits. If you have any questions about what barrel profile will work with your 416 or BRN4 barrel, we'll be putting that on the site, so look there for more information about that. So going down the line, we have our 416 quad rail. You'll see a lot of photos of DEVGRU using this, but you can also see photos of them using the really cool Remington Defense rail and the Daniel Defense 416 rail. You could find the Remington Defense ones. You gotta pay a little bit of cash. And then Daniel Defense ones are just stupid expensive. So hopefully Daniel Defense decides to bring those back one day. Going down the line, we have our 416 receiver set. You're gonna see that because it is a piston operated system, it sits a little bit higher than the M4. We have our Night Force NXS 2.5 to 10. Most of the photos of DEVGRU using these Recce rifles will have this scope. They're not currently made, but every once in a while Night Force decides to make a limited run. It's a good time to snag them up because they get a little bit expensive during the dry seasons. So piggybacking off of the NXS is an Aimpoint T2. This is using a ball knobber piggyback mount. They are making them available, so go grab one if you want to do this. Night Force cantilever mount. You'll see a lot of the photos of DEVGRU using the Night Force scope rings. A couple photos of them use this mount, so I decided to go with this one. And then below we have our International Milco lower receiver. Shout out to them. They make really nice and cool receivers. We lasered this in-house to make it look more like the originals. This is using a old 416 trigger. I want to get the Geissele one, but they're like super expensive. That's a purchase down the line. And then we have our grip. I'm pretty sure this is a Tango down grip. If I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody's going to let me know. And then a Magpul CTR, which is a classic. So that's just a quick breakdown of the 416 Recce. What we're going to do now is we're going to shoot some drills, see how we like the feel of it, and give our critique at the end.
All right, we're gonna be running some drills now, just a little shooting and moving. I'll walk you through what we're thinking. So on this first tank trap, there is a target roughly 80 yards out. We'll utilize any one of these posts, whatever's most comfortable for us. Engage the target with 2 rounds. After those hits, we'll shift over to the middle tank trap. Again, anywhere that's comfortable. There's a target out at about 120 yards, maybe 150. Again, engage 2 rounds onto that target. It's a little small A-zone target. And then finally shift over to this last tank trap and engage a target out at 250.
$26.74.
Okay. some good time. Nice.
Sweet.
32.59. Nice. Nice. You flying. Oh, yep, you beat me. Good job.
Oh, 4. 2304.
So next drill, we're gonna be coming out of this trailer, engaging a few targets. 2 of the targets we're gonna engage from this stand off the railing. The first target we're gonna hit with 2 shots. Then we're gonna shift over to the further target, engage 1 shot, and then we're gonna shift over to a slanted roof top and engage a target out at 300 yards.
Good shit.
1929.
Oh, small target. That worked. Impact.
Sweet.
38.67. Careful of that post. I think it was hit.
That was.
22.04. For this next drill, we're gonna just engage 2 targets. One's gonna be from this wall, engage this closer target, 2 rounds on that, and then we'll run over to this cinder block stack and engage a target out at 400 with 1 round.
Impact. 1865.
Nice.
Cool. Nice. 21.98. Shooter, are you ready?
No. Merch plug. AEsuppressors.com. We have Thrasher hoodies in stock right now. Take a look, it's getting cold. Get yourself a hoodie. We also do cool t-shirts, limited designs. Go pick one up. Merch plug.
The Home Shopping Club Customer Service Department is open Monday through Friday to take your customer service questions. The busiest day for customer service calls is Monday. For the quickest handling of your customer service questions, we...
impact 1831.
Got him.
Nice. All right. Give me that shit.
Yeah, shit. Shooter, are you ready? No.
No.
All right, so we're back in the studio after shooting this rifle on the range. We're just gonna discuss our thoughts on it, and then we have a small criteria that we're going to share across to the other Recce builds. And the criteria is 3 different points. So number 1, we're gonna be talking about wieldability, right? The balance of the rifle, how does it feel? Does it feel like it's working with you or against you? We wanna talk about shootability, recoil, impulse, ability to return to target while you're aiming down the sight. And we're gonna also talk about, from our perspective, a bunch of flat rangers, the field practicality of something like this for its intended end users, right? Development group. So for what all this information is worth, let's go ahead and get into it. You wanna talk about it, Brian? You wanna give us your thoughts?
Yeah, so with the 416, I originally thought going into it that I wouldn't like it. I know it's a heavy gun, it's an expensive gun, and people have said it's a gassy gun for being a piston system. Shooting it, I actually really enjoyed it. It was surprisingly fun to shoot, and I think that is for a few reasons. When it comes to its wieldability, it is heavy, so if I was having to do the recce roll and hike with it, I probably would hate it. But for our flat range needs, when we were kind of just getting out of the car, shooting with it, hanging around, it was really comfortable to shoot. Of course, that's with the quad rail. We mainly did the quad rail. You can lighten it up a lot more by going with the Remington defense rail, or even better, the Daniel defense rail is really light, so I recommend going with this. So that would help with a little bit more with it being lighter weight. But I think the weight actually helped make it a really soft shooting gun, which kind of goes into its shootability. It was very fun to shoot because the weight helped it kind of absorb that recoil. It was easy to stay on target, and I wasn't fighting against the rifle. So yeah, it was really nice to shoot, again, for our flat range needs.
Yeah.
But if I were to put myself in the mind of a DEVGRU operator, would I like to hike around with this, carry this thing around? I don't know. I think you get the functionality out of like a Gen 2 recce that you would from the 416 recce, but it's lighter weight. And then obviously going to the Gen 3, you're going even more lighter, which kind of fulfills that recce role. Personally, if I were to have to use this in the field, I'd probably go with a different gun. So that's just my thoughts, but then again, I don't work out. I'm pretty weak. Chris does work out, so what do you think?
Honestly, leading into it, my hopes for this thing were that it was going to be awesome, and I think we could all agree this thing's pretty awesome. There's always been this reputation with the 416 that's been appealing to me. It's the gun that killed bin Laden. It's a really cool gun in my eyes, and I had big expectations, and I can honestly say this thing met and exceeded my expectations. It is heavy, but it's very shootable, and it's very tough. It's a tough gun. It's known for just working through being dirty. It's known for working through adverse conditions. So just touching on the wieldability of it, it feels balanced. I think it feels really balanced. It's got a really familiar feel. I really like quad rails. I love the Remington defense rail aesthetically. That thing is awesome. The Daniel defense rail is super cool too because of how lightweight it is. But I don't know, something about the quad rail for me, it feels familiar. When it was on that bag, it was kind of, the 1913 was kind of getting a grip on the bag. It was just not really moving, and it was awesome to shoot. So just wrapping up wieldability, balanced. Yes, it is heavy, but that really goes into it. It's a little bit of a shorter package, coming in at 14.5 inches. And I like shorter guns. I really like the 15-1 Recce, even though it's not an actual clone anymore. I still really like how short it is with the AEM5. So this thing felt familiar to me, and I was comfortable with it. Shootability, you can probably guess what I'm gonna say. Heavy, planted, wasn't bouncing around on me. I'm looking through that optic. I can see my hits. I know that it hit before I can even hear it. So very shootable. Really like it for that reason. Hiking around with something like this, yeah, it would be heavy. I don't know if it would be my choice for doing, you know, that kind of work. I am just a flat ranger, so this information and these opinions, take them for what they're worth, but I don't know if I would want to be lugging this thing around. I would feel good about it being really tough. I wouldn't feel like it's gonna break, but if I did have parts that break, devil's advocate here, can I get HK parts where I'm at? Probably not. So that's something to consider there. Anyways, I'm gonna pass it over to you, Wes, but overall, really like shooting this gun.
So trying to touch on things that, you know, haven't already been covered. Of course, I agree with most of the points that have already been said. The gun shoots great. It looks really cool. It's very popular in pop culture, of course. And, you know, there's a general aesthetic to it that is just really sought after. And yeah, you'll see in the video how we did with the shooting, the drills, and like Chris said, like Brian said, it's very easy to stay on target with this gun, and we get some pretty quick follow-up shots, and I think that plays into the fun factor of actually shooting as well, because you can feel good about your shooting and the results of it as well. Yeah, and there's a reason why, going to the point of this gun being heavy, there's a reason why a lot of PRS shooters outfit their guns to be kind of heavy. Like it's because they stay planted, stay pretty much on target as you're shooting your light loads of 223, 556. It's a good gun, a good platform to be able to do that sort of stuff on, and of course you just feel cool handling this gun. I think before we ever even took it out to the range, just handling it here at the shop is just cool. Like it's just fun to LARP around sometimes, and that's basically what we do when we're on the range anyway. But getting behind the gun, pulling the trigger, getting the impacts that you want to get, and pushing it out to 400 or 500 yards was a good time, especially for a 14.5 barrel. I think it performed really well.
So I'm gonna pose a question to you guys. We kind of talked about if we were in the field, would we choose this gun? And that's kind of with the mindset of the government's paying for it, and we have to hike around with this. But what do you think from just a customer or an average guy, knowing the cost of this gun, knowing the other options like the Gen or Gen 2 M4 Recce's, would you choose to buy or build this gun, or would you choose a different Recce?
It's similar to, probably even more expensive than the MCX platform. I have that, and like just looking at the replacement parts, the price of those, and kind of hurting every time I look, it sucks. So it'd be a hard time for me to pick this, honestly, as my go-to Recce rifle, because just I'm poor. Like, I can't afford to maintain this gun, although I would love to, and I think that's going to resonate with most people.
Also consider that you don't necessarily need to go with HK.
Right.
Obviously, Brownells makes the BRN4 system, and Nefarious Arms makes basically a one-to-one clone of the barrel. You could technically get into it for a little bit cheaper, but it's still going to probably be more expensive than any of the M4 variants.
Oh, for sure. But that's a very good point. So, but yeah, I think knowing, getting some trigger time between each of the platforms, I'd probably have to pick a different Recce. I might side a little bit more with the Gen 2.
Oh, yeah.
I want one. I want one pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. I don't know what barrel I would get. Maybe Nefarious Arms, maybe BRN4. I know I would go to International Milco for a lower. I really like this gun. I'm considering, because of this gun, I'm considering ending up with a mod 1 and doing my Recce up as 416. So AEM5 is on my mod 1 and my Recce can's on my 416 Recce. Ideal outcome, but it's got me thinking that way. So yeah, I think if you were to ask me before this, like, would I ever own a 416? I probably would have said no because of how expensive everything is, but this experience has got me thinking about it. I mean, I know this is your gun, but
Yeah, I mean,
you're gonna keep it?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep it now.
All right.
I didn't know if I was gonna keep it getting into it. The only reason I kind of bought it was for the Recce project, this whole thing. I thought I was gonna get it. We were gonna mess around with the suppressor, the collar system.
For you guys to know, Brian is notorious for getting something and it goes on tack swap really quickly. He just got an L can that he didn't even take out of the box. I shipped it.
I buy it, I try it, develop my thoughts on it, sell it so I could try something new out.
Yeah, I think it's cool, honestly, because I get to benefit from it. So.
Yeah, everyone gets to benefit from it. But I didn't think this is gonna be a gun that I would end up keeping. But after shooting it, it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is aesthetically really good too.
Oh yeah.
It's got vibes. I'm still on the fence about the optic system. I was not in love with this NXS or any of the NXSs that we shot. The cloner in me is like, I need to keep the optic because that's the correct optic. But on the other side, I'm like, oh, I could just put on a more modern optic. I'm not that diehard of a cloner.
Which direction cloner, man?
Yeah, which way Western man?
Yeah.
Autism or capitalism?
Autistically cloner correct, or do you go with a newly improved optic?
Yeah.
Like the ATACR. It'd be pretty awesome on this.
I'm not an ATACR guy.
No.
It is nice that we have options though, because like this is still a very practical optic setup. Like I enjoy a LPVO and top dot, but like, yeah, is there better optics out there? Sure. More modern, great. But has this optic setup killed a lot of bad dudes? Definitely. So very, usable still. But yeah, there's always those preferences, and that's what's nice about the growth of the firearms industry in general.
So before we wrap up, I think it's important because we're filming these after we have filmed all of the range videos. We have shot all of these. We've had a range day with each of the Recce builds. So how does the 416 stack up against the M4 Recce, the Gen 3 Recce? It's very shootable. This is the most shootable Recce, in my opinion. This is the easiest gun to pick up and to make good hits with. It is a little heavy. It is known to be a little bit gassy. 416s just are. But I would say my favorite is probably the M4, and then 416, and then Gen 3 at this point.
I would change those up. I would say 416 is going to be my favorite.
Okay.
Gen 2 is going to be my second favorite. Gen 3 would be my least favorite, which is funny because I would also say that's the way any real customer or like flat range shooter would go. But I would say that it'd be the opposite if I were a soldier in the field using this.
Right.
I would probably want to go Gen 3, Gen 2, 416.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What do you think, Wes?
I think my list, my tier list for these three rifles would be Gen 2, and then the 416, and then Gen 3. So somewhere along the line of your thoughts.
Yeah.
So the biggest factor for me is just the parts compatibility with the Gen 2. I have all the replacement parts, and it's very easy to come across those replacement parts if anything goes wrong with that rifle. So with the Gen 2 being at the top of my tier list, it's just the practicality of replacing parts and being able to work on it in my sleep essentially just is more important to me than the aesthetics and the overall vibes of the 416. Super cool. I'd love to own one in my lifetime, but as of right now, it's just more practical for me to to get a Gen 2 setup.
Very relatable for me, because I think if I were to be based off just like the vibes and the coolness of it, 416 would be in first place. But to be realistic, it's got to be the Gen 2 in first place. So anyways, I think it's kind of time for us to wrap this. Overall, I think we can all agree this thing is awesome. With the Recce suppressor setup, because this thing suppresses good.
Oh, it sounds
really good.
They could always, if we're ever at a shooting event, this most likely will also be there, so you can come shoot it.
Yep.
You know, after this video goes live, more and more people will be probably building these out. Ask a friend, or come to Clone Shoot next year.
Definitely go to Clone Shoot.
Yeah, this will be there, and I'm guessing a lot more 416 Recces are going to be there.
I hope so. I hope that
We'll see.
I hope that the Recce can is going to really start to make builds, you know, come out of the ether. So, all right. See you guys on the next one.